Yo, what is up? All the rage this week is about the new Italian tech tree that they are going to introduce soon. I think this tank, which is the premium version, the Tier 8 tech tree, the Tier 8 premium tank, is already being tested on the test server. So if you want to go see what this tank is performing like, you can download the common test server and you should be able to run into them in game. Now this is, of course, it's called the Progetto something 71, 1400 hit points, 50 kilometers an hour forward speed, power to weight ratio 12.46, a 600 horsepower engine. I'm going to compare it to last week's flavor of the week, which is of course the T77. Now the T77 has 50 more hit points than the Progetto 71. Very similar top speed and reverse speed. In fact, the Progetto is going to have slower reverse speed, less horsepower, power to weight ratio even less than the T77. So if you watch that video, it looked like the Progetto 71 premium tank looked like it was quite a mobile, fast, mobile heavy tank, which is how Wargaming was trying to market this tank, right? But if you compare it to the T77 in terms of the statistics, look at the power to weight ratio. The T77 has got better power to weight ratio than the Progetto 71, 14.29 versus 12.46. Even the hull traverse, which means the wiggly on the body, the T77 is better. Now the T77, by all accounts, is not a fast tank. It does not feel very mobile or very agile. So if they're selling the Progetto as a mobile, agile, fast, heavy tank, it is not a very fast or a very heavy tank for that matter. Hull armor, slightly up armored over the T77. Remember, T77 has no armor at all. So this has only 10 millimeters of more armor in the hull frontally, but on the turret armor, it has about 30 more millimeters of armor. I'll give it that. Also, it is more sloped and more angled. But my theory is the armor isn't going to be super effective on the flat ground. It is only going to be very effective when it is in the sloped position. But let's go ahead and look at the armor. This was clipped from the video. The only armor that you should be interested is the ones on the right. 310 the face of the turret is kind of sloped, 310, and the upper plate is 240. Now 240 and 310 is the armor that is effective armor, not the actual armor. The actual armor, of course, we already worked it out to 135 on the hull and 185 on the turret. But sloped wise, when it is on a hill like this, using the 10 degrees of gun depression shooting at you, that's when the armor is going to be very effective. But in terms of flat ground, fighting on a corner, side scraping, you can definitely do damage to this tank because the armor is not that great. Now, specific power, again, that is the horsepower per ton, 12.46. I've already showed you it is a lot. The T77 is a lot better. This is the funky part of the new mechanic, which is the auto reloading gun. It has a 3-shot auto reloader. It's being compared on the left, the Pantera, 14.3 seconds on the second shell of reload. But if you play it a certain way, you can get the second reload down to 8.3 seconds in the heavy tank. Now, as long as you have this sign that goes up while your gun is reloading, and you fire your shot during this, when this sign comes on, this parentheses or whatever, when it shows up and you fire your gun, your reload time is going to be reduced to half. So instead of 14 or 15 seconds or whatever, it is going to be reduced half to something like 7-8 seconds. So that's the gist of it, but I'm going to let Quickie Baby explain it to you in the best fashion.
Have in the vehicle that if you fire with 2 seconds left, in theory, you're actually, while you still lose an entire shell, What it's going to allow you to do is to be able to get another shell back into the tank. Well, it basically allows you to fire early with less of a penalty. That's the key takeaway here. The improved auto-reloading mechanism means that if you absolutely, utterly have to fire 2 seconds before the shell goes into the vehicle, that you can fire and you will still lose the equivalent of pretty much 80% of the reload, but the shell that then you put into the vehicle is going to reload twice as fast. So I'd say that it kind of gives you about a 3-second boost to what you would have actually lost if you'd fired without the improved auto-reloading mechanics on the vehicle.
Okay, I think that he explained it better than I will ever possibly can. So if you understood that, good for you. I think I need to try it out myself to see what is actually going on with this new, I would call it the auto-reloader mechanic, or I don't know, whatever. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the shots that's coming out already on the test server. These shots were posted on some leaked websites. Obviously, this tank is already been fully rendered and textured, which means it is good to go. Now, there were some rumor mongers down there saying that this will be the Christmas loot box tank, but judging from the speed they are rolling this out, they already put the teaser out there for all the Italian Tech 3 tanks, and then this dropped into the test server for the super testers to play, fully rendered and textured. I got a feeling this tank is coming out sooner than all of us think. So let's continue to look at the stats. Let's look at the reload time. 10 seconds reload on the first shell, 14 on the second shell, 12.46 on the second shell, 14.38 on the third shell. I think the reload time is similar to that of a T77 if you're going for a full reload, around 38 seconds. It does 360 damage, 440 on the HE if you pen, but the penetration, if you look at it, 218 is actually sufficient. On the 277, the standard shells is 232 penetration, a lot better penetration, which means you could probably make a lot more credits playing the T77 because you can play standard shells with 232 pen very comfortably, especially if you're fighting just tier 8s and tier 9s. The premium penetration, however, 270 on the Progetto 71. On the T77, 299, again a lot higher penetration on the T77. So if you're considering one of these two tanks, maybe the T77 would be a better deal for you, because if you're fighting higher tier tanks, there's no problem for you because you have 299 pen, and if you're going to make a lot of credits on tier 8 farming, you can rely on the 232 penetration. Aim time exactly the same, 2.59 seconds, and you will notice as well the shell velocities on the standard shells, both over 1100 meters per second shell velocity. That means they are probably going to be firing APCR. I'm not sure, but I think on the Progetto Mod 1 it is standard shells are AP. So for AP shells traveling at 1155 meters per second, that is pretty good for AP shells. You can shoot through fences and everything, no problem. Premium shells are heat, and that is why they are slightly slower. Well, they're actually very slow, 800 meters per second. The shit part here is the dispersion, 0.40 versus the T77 0.35 dispersion. What is 0.40 dispersion? It is ISM territory. ISM is 0.40 penetration dispersion, which means it's like pissing after sex, just shooting all over. You're gonna miss the toilet bowl 100%. 0.40 is, if you know IS3, right, and you might not know ISM, but you definitely know IS3. IS3 is 0.38 dispersion, better than this tank. So imagine that, this tank dispersion, gun dispersion, worse than an IS3. That is what 0.40 will buy you. So you are going to be no armor on flat land, but you need to go up close to shoot people because your dispersion is not very good. Anyway, hope you got some insight on this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.